Captain Taewoo Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, his hands clasped behind his back. The stars shone brightly on the main view screen, countless pinpricks of light against the black void. For 3 days they had waited at the edge of the solar system. For 3 days the crew had grown more and more nervous. "Any change, Officer Jiwoo?" Taewoo asked. Science Officer Jiwoo Park looked up from her station. Her eyes were tired from staring at screens for hours. "No, Captain, the signal remains constant. They're still coming." Taewoo nodded and walked to the front of the bridge. He looked out at the stars, searching for any sign of the alien ship. Just 1 week ago, every communication device on Earth had received the same message. "We come in peace. Prepare for diplomatic exchange." The aliens called themselves the Orcs. They claimed to be part of something called the Galactic Concord, and they wanted to talk to humans. "Captain," said Commander Do-hyun Lee, walking up to stand beside him. "The crew is getting restless. Should we send another message?" "No," Taewoo said. "They told us to wait, so we wait. We don't want to seem impatient or rude." Do-hyun frowned. "Do you trust them, sir?" Taewoo turned to look at his first officer. Do-hyun had been with him for 5 years. They had faced pirates, asteroid storms, and even a small war with the Mars colonies. But this was different. This was first contact with an alien race. "I don't know," Taewoo admitted. "But United Earth Command gave us clear orders. Meet the aliens. Be friendly. Learn what we can." "And if they're not friendly?" Do-hyun asked quietly. Taewoo's hand moved to the small weapon at his side. "Then we do what we must to protect Earth." Just then, a loud beep came from Jiwoo's station. She jumped and pressed some buttons. "Captain, I'm picking up a massive energy spike." The bridge crew rushed to their stations. Taewoo returned to his chair in the center of the bridge. "Report!" "Something big is coming through. I don't know what it is. Some kind of portal or gateway," Jiwoo said, her voice rising with excitement. "It's like nothing we've ever seen before." The view screen flickered, and then they saw it, a tear in space itself glowing with blue and purple light. And through that tear came a ship. Taewoo felt his breath catch in his throat. The alien vessel was huge, at least 20 times larger than the Endeavour. It was shaped like a curved blade, sleek and dangerous looking. Its hull was dark gray with lines of soft blue light running along it. "My God," whispered Communications Officer Hyejin Yoon. "It's beautiful. And dangerous," added Security Chief Jung-soo Kang. His hand rested on his weapon. "Look at those structures along the sides. Those have to be weapons." Taewoo stood up. "Hail them, Officer Hyejin." Hyejin pressed buttons on her console. "Channel open, Captain." Taewoo straightened his uniform and cleared his throat. "This is Captain Taewoo Kim of the United Earthship Endeavour. On behalf of humanity, we welcome you to the Sol system." For a long moment there was silence. Then the view screen changed. They saw the inside of the alien ship. It was brightly lit, with white walls and strange curved furniture. And there, in the center of the screen, stood the aliens. The Voraks were tall, nearly 7 feet in height. Their skin shimmered with an iridescent quality, shifting between blue and green. They had 4 arms, each ending in 6-fingered hands. Their faces were almost human-like, with 2 large purple eyes, a small nose, and a mouth. But they had no hair, and their ears were just small holes on the sides of their heads. One of the aliens stepped forward. It wore a complex outfit of silver and black. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Supreme Envoy Zalthir of the Voraks Hegemony. Representatives of the Galactic Concord, we are pleased by your welcome." The alien's mouth didn't match the words. Taewoo realized they must be using some kind of translation device. "We are honored by your presence," Taewoo said carefully. "May I ask the purpose of your visit?" Zalthir made a gesture with its upper right hand. "To welcome you, of course. Your species has reached the necessary level of development to join our community of advanced civilizations. This is a great day for humanity." Murmurs broke out across the bridge. Jiwoo looked up from her station, her eyes wide with wonder. Even Young-soo seemed impressed, though his hand hadn't moved from his weapon. We would be honored to learn more, Taewoo said. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting between our representatives? Yes, Zalthir said. We invite a delegation from Earth to board our vessel. We have prepared suitable quarters for you. You may bring a small security team if it makes you comfortable, though no harm will come to you here. Taewoo nodded. We accept your invitation. Please allow us 6 hours to prepare and contact our government. Of course, Zalthir said. We understand the need for caution. We will await your arrival. The screen went dark. Do-hyun moved closer to Taewoo. Sir, are you sure about this? Going onto their ship puts us at their mercy. I know, Taewoo said, but we can't pass up this opportunity. I'll lead the delegation myself. Then I'm coming with you, Do-hyun said firmly. Taewoo nodded, then turned to Jiwoo. Officer Jiwoo, I want you to come as well. Your scientific knowledge will be valuable. Yes, Captain, Jiwoo said, barely containing her excitement. Officer Hyejin, contact Earth immediately. Tell them we've made contact and will be meeting with the aliens. Ask them to send diplomat Hyerim Choi as soon as possible. We'll need her expertise. Right, away, Captain, Hyejin said, already working her console. And Chief Jung-soo, Taewoo added. Prepare a security team, small but effective. Jung-soo nodded, his face serious. I'll select my best people. As the crew rushed to carry out his orders, Taewoo looked back at the view screen. The alien ship hung there, silent and mysterious. Something bothering you, Captain? Do-hyun asked, noticing Taewoo's expression. Taewoo frowned. It's probably nothing. But? Do-hyun pressed. But why us? Taewoo said quietly. Why now? They said, we've reached the necessary level of development, but compared to them, we're children playing with toys. Their ship can create tears in space itself. What could they possibly want from us? Do-hyun had no answer for that. 6 hours later, Taewoo led his team onto the shuttle. Diplomat Hyerim Choi had arrived just in time, escorted by a government transport ship. She was a small woman with a calm face and sharp eyes. Taewoo had worked with her before and respected her intelligence. Captain Kim, she greeted him. It seems you found us some interesting new friends. Let's hope they stay friendly, Taewoo said as they strapped into their seats. The shuttle departed from the Endeavor and approached the massive alien vessel. Up close, it was even more impressive. The hull seemed to shift and move slightly as if it were breathing. Amazing, Jiwoo whispered, pressing her face to the window. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Which makes me wonder why they're interested in us at all, Hyrim said, echoing Taewoo's earlier thoughts. A blue light extended from the alien ship, guiding their shuttle into a large opening. They entered a vast docking bay, easily 10 times larger than the one on the Endeavor. Several smaller alien craft sat in neat rows. Their shuttle touched down softly. Remember, Taewoo said to his team, be respectful but cautious. Watch everything. Learn everything, but don't make promises without consulting me or Diplomat Hyerim. They all nodded. Well, Taewoo said, taking a deep breath, let's go meet our new galactic neighbors. The shuttle door opened, and they stepped out to face the future of humanity. Taewoo led his team down the ramp of their shuttle. The air in the alien docking bay smelled clean, with a hint of something like mint. 4 Voraks stood waiting for them. Their iridescent skin shifted colors under the bright lights. Welcome, aboard the Celestial Blade, said the tallest of the aliens. Its voice came from a small device on its chest. I am Supreme Envoy Zalthir. We are honored by your presence. Diplomat Hyerim stepped forward and bowed slightly. The honor is ours, Supreme Envoy. I am Hyerim Choi, Chief Diplomat of United Earth. This is Captain Taewoo Kim of the UES Endeavor. Zalthir made a gesture with its 4 arms, spreading them wide. Please follow us. We have prepared a meeting space where we can talk comfortably. The human delegation followed the aliens through wide corridors. The walls were smooth and white, with strange symbols that glowed softly. Other Voraks they passed stopped to stare at the humans with their large purple eyes. They seemed just as curious about us as we are about them. Jiwoo whispered to Taewoo. Stay alert, Taewoo whispered back. Watch everything. Chief Jung-soo and his 2 security officers walked with their hands near their weapons. They had been allowed to bring them, but Tae-woo had ordered them not to draw unless absolutely necessary. The aliens led them to a large round room. In the center was a table surrounded by chairs of different sizes and shapes. Through the windows they could see the stars and the blue curve of Neptune in the distance. "Please be seated," Zolthir said. "The chairs marked with blue are designed for human comfort." They sat down carefully. The chairs were indeed comfortable, molding to their bodies. "Now," Zolthir said, joining them at the table with 3 other Voraks, "let us discuss the reason for our visit." Zolthir touched a control on the table. A hologram appeared above them showing a map of the galaxy. Hundreds of stars lit up in different colors. "This is the territory of the Galactic Conquered," Zolthir explained. 15 advanced species working, together in harmony. We share knowledge, resources, and protection. 15 species? Jiwoo asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "There are 14 other intelligent races besides yourselves?" "Yes," Zolthir said, "each with their own unique biology and culture. Some breathe methane, some live underwater, some have hive minds, but all have reached a level of technological and social development that allows for peaceful cooperation, and You believe humans have reached this level?" Hiram asked. "We have been watching your development for centuries," Zolthir said. The other Voraks nodded. "Your progress has been remarkable, especially in the last 100 years." "You've been watching us?" Tae-woo asked, trying to keep his voice neutral. The idea made him uncomfortable. "From a distance," Zolthir assured him. "We never interfere with developing species. It is against our highest laws. But now you have developed faster than light communication, clean fusion energy, and unified your planet under a single government. These are the signs that a species is ready for contact." Hiram leaned forward. "What exactly does membership in this Concord involve?" "Exchange," Zolthir said simply. "We share technology, science, art, philosophy. Each species contributes what they can and receives what they need." Zolthir touched the control again. The hologram changed to show images of amazing technologies, ships that seemed to bend space around them, cities floating in the clouds, underwater domes teeming with life. "We can offer humanity medical technologies that can cure any disease, energy systems that produce no waste, travel between stars in days instead of years." Jiwoo gasped. "That's incredible." Even Tae-woo had to admit it sounded amazing. But something still bothered him. "And what do you want from us in return?" Zolthir's head tilted slightly. "A fair question, Captain. Every species brings unique gifts. To the Conquered, the Zithri are masters of biology. The Nemarians can predict astronomical events with perfect accuracy. The Voraks, my people, excel at space-time manipulation. And humans?" Dohyun asked. "Your adaptability," Zolthir said immediately. "Your creativity, your emotional range. These are rare and valuable traits in the galaxy." One of the other Voraks leaned forward. "Your music alone would be a worthy contribution. We have never heard anything like it." "There must be more to it than that," Tae-woo pressed. Hiram shot him a warning look, but Zolthir seemed untroubled. "You are right to be cautious, Captain. But I assure you we seek only peaceful exchange. Come, let me show you more of our ship. Perhaps seeing will help you believe." For the next few hours, the Voraks gave them a tour of the celestial blade. They saw gardens filled with plants from a dozen worlds, laboratories with technology they could barely understand, and living quarters for various species. "This is all overwhelming," Hiram said as they walked. "Take time to consider," Zolthir told her. "We will remain in your system for one of your months. You may visit our ship whenever you wish. Ask any questions. We have nothing to hide." When the tour ended, they were shown to private quarters where they could rest before returning to the Endeavor. Once alone, Tae-woo called his team together in his room. "Thoughts?" he asked. "It's amazing," Jiwoo said immediately. The scientific knowledge alone would advance humanity by centuries. Their offer seems genuine, Hiram said carefully. But I agree with your caution, Captain. In diplomacy, when an offer seems too good to be true, it often is. They're hiding something, Jung-Soo said bluntly. Did you notice how certain areas were off limits? And they changed the subject whenever I asked about their weapon systems. I noticed something else, Do-hyun added. They avoided all questions about species that chose not to join their concord. Tae-woo nodded. So we proceed with caution. Ji-woo, I want you to learn everything you can about their technology, especially their communication systems. Yes, Captain, she said. Hire him, find out more about the structure of this concord, how decisions are made, how resources are shared. I'll focus on that, Hiram agreed. And all of you. Watch how they react to different topics, what makes them uncomfortable. What do they avoid talking about? Later, as the others slept, Tae-woo stood at the window of his quarters, looking out at the stars. The Endeavor looked tiny next to the massive alien ship. A soft knock at his door broke his thoughts. It was Hiram. Can't sleep either? He asked. She shook her head. Too much to think about. She joined him at the window. They're offering us everything, Tae-woo. Advanced medicine, faster-than-light travel, clean energy solutions. We could solve all of Earth's problems. But at what cost? Tae-woo asked quietly. That's what we need to find out, she replied. The next few weeks were busy. Earth sent more diplomats and scientists to meet with the Voraks. The news of alien contact spread across the planet, causing both excitement and fear. Tae-woo and his crew spent most of their time on the alien ship, learning and observing. Ji-woo was in her element, absorbing new scientific knowledge with amazing speed. Hiram attended meetings with Zalthir and other high-ranking Voraks, discussing the details of a possible alliance. But Tae-woo couldn't shake his unease. He noticed small things that bothered him. The way the Voraks sometimes watched humans when they thought no one was looking, their reaction to sudden movements or loud noises, and most of all, their careful avoidance of certain topics. Have you noticed how they flinch when we laugh or show anger? He asked Do-hyun one day as they walked through the celestial blade. Yes, Do-hyun said. It's like they're not used to seeing strong emotions. Or they fear them, Tae-woo suggested. The end of the third week, Earth's leaders announced they were seriously considering the Voraks' offer to join the Galactic Concord. A formal ceremony was planned for the following week. The night before the ceremony, Tae-woo sat in his quarters on the Endeavor, reading reports. A message alert blinked on his screen. Captain, came Officer Heejin's voice. We're detecting a small ship approaching at high speed. It's not Voraks' design. Tae-woo frowned. I'll be right there. On the bridge, the crew tracked the mystery vessel. It's tiny, Ji-woo said. Barely large enough for 1 or 2 occupants. The Voraks are hailing us, Heejin reported. They're ordering us to ignore the approaching ship. They say it's dangerous. Can you establish contact with it? Tae-woo asked. I'm trying, but... Wait, we're receiving a transmission. Heejin pressed buttons on her console. It's weak, but I'm routing it to your personal terminal, Captain. Tae-woo looked at his screen as a message appeared. Beware the conquered. They harvest potential. 13 cycles, then extinction. We are the few who escaped. Listen to their fear. Before he could respond, the small ship suddenly exploded in a flash of light. What happened? Tae-woo demanded. The Voraks fired on it, Jung-soo reported grimly. They destroyed it completely. Tae-woo stared at the message on his screen. A warning? From whom? And what did it mean? Captain, Ji-woo called urgently. Before it was destroyed, the ship transmitted a data packet to our systems. It's heavily encrypted. Can you decode it? Tae-woo asked. Ji-woo's fingers flew over her console. I'll try, but it will take time. Make it a priority, Tae-woo ordered. And keep this between us for now. Something tells me we need to know what's in that message before tomorrow's ceremony. Tae-woo couldn't sleep. The message from the destroyed ship kept running through his mind. Beware the conquered. They harvest potential. 13 cycles, then extinction. We are the few who escaped. Listen to their fear. What did it mean? Who had sent it? And why had the Vorac's destroyed the ship so quickly? His room's communication panel beeped. "Captain," Jiwoo's voice came through, sounding tired but excited. "I've made progress with the data packet. Can you come to my lab?" "I'll be right there," Taewoo said, already pulling on his uniform. The corridors of the Endeavor were quiet at this late hour. Taewoo moved quickly, nodding to the few crew members on night duty. He found Jiwoo in her small laboratory, surrounded by screens displaying complex code. "What have you found?" he asked, closing the door behind him. Jiwoo looked up, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "It wasn't easy. The encryption was unlike anything I've seen before, but I managed to access part of it." She tapped a command into her console. One of the screens changed to show a series of images and text in an alien language. "I can't read the text yet," Jiwoo explained, "but the images are clear enough. They're historical records of other species that joined the Concord." Taewoo leaned closer. "How many?" 17 that I can identify so far," Jiwoo said, each with dates and locations. She pointed to one image showing a tall, thin species with multiple eyes. "This one joined the Concord about 300 Earth years ago, according to the timestamp." "And where are they now?" Taewoo asked. Jiwoo's face grew serious. "That's the strange part. There are later records showing their home world empty, abandoned. The same pattern appears for all 17 species. They join the Concord, and about 13 cycles later, whatever a cycle means in their time measurement, they simply disappear." Taewoo felt a chill run down his spine. The message said, 13 cycles, then extinction. Could this be what they meant? "It fits," Jiwoo admitted. "But I need more time to decode the rest of the data." Taewoo nodded. "Keep working on it. And Jiwoo, be careful who you tell about this. If the Vorac's find out we have this information." "I understand," she said. Taewoo was about to leave when Jiwoo spoke again. "There's something else, Captain. I've been analyzing the Vorac's biological responses when they interact with us. Their skin color changes slightly based on their emotional state, and they show signs of stress, even fear, when humans express strong emotions, particularly anger." Jiwoo brought up a new image on her screen, showing readings from a Vorac's during a meeting. "See these spikes? They happened when Commander Do-hyun laughed loudly at one of their jokes. The Vorac's delegate flinched. Taewoo remembered the message. Listen to their fear. Could this be what it meant? "The ceremony is in 10 hours, he said. "We need more information before then." "I'll keep working," Jiwoo promised. Taewoo returned to his quarters but called a secure meeting with his trusted officers, Do-hyun, Jung-soo, and Hyejin. He also contacted Hyerim, who was staying in the diplomatic quarters. They gathered in Taewoo's room an hour later. He explained what Jiwoo had discovered. "So these aliens might be planning to destroy us?" Jung-soo asked, his hand moving to his weapon. "We don't know that for sure," Taewoo cautioned, "but we need to find out more before Earth signs this agreement." "The problem is we have very little time," Hyerim said. "The ceremony is scheduled for today. Earth's leaders are fully committed. Backing out now without solid proof would cause a diplomatic crisis." "Then we need to get that proof quickly," Do-hyun said. Taewoo thought for a moment. Jiwoo noticed that the Vorac's react strongly to human emotions. "We could use that. If we can make them reveal something." "A controlled test," Hyejin suggested. "Exactly," Taewoo agreed. "But we'll need someone who doesn't mind showing anger in front of the aliens." "I know just the person," Do-hyun said with a small smile. 4 hours later, technician Min Jae Kang was preparing equipment in one of the laboratories on the Vorak ship. The young engineer was known for his brilliance and his short temper. Taewoo and Jiwoo watched from nearby, pretending to study some alien technology. 2 Vorax observers stood at the other end of the lab, watching the humans work. Min Jae had been told about the plan and agreed to help, though he didn't know all the details. Right on cue, one of the devices Minji was working with sparked and shut down. The young technician slammed his hand on the table. Stupid thing. He, shouted. His face turned red as he picked up the device and shook it. Work, damn you! The reaction from the Voracks was immediate and revealing. Both aliens stepped back, their skin flashing to a pale blue color. One of them reached for something at its belt. A weapon. Minji, Taewoo said calmly, moving forward. That's enough. Take a break. Minji nodded and walked away. His part played perfectly. Taewoo turned to the Voracks. I apologize for my crew member's outburst. He gets emotional about his work. It is understandable, one of the Voracks said, its skin slowly returning to normal. But its 4 hands were trembling, slightly. Later, back on the Endeavor, Taewoo met with his team again. They were terrified, Jiwoo confirmed. Their stress hormones spiked to dangerous levels. It was just a small display of anger, but they reacted as if Minji might attack them. But why would they fear human emotions? Hiram wondered. They're technologically superior in every way. Maybe that's the point, Dohyun suggested. Maybe they've evolved beyond emotions. Jiwoo's communication panel beeped. Captain, I've decoded more of the data packet. You need to see this immediately. They all rushed to Jiwoo's lab. On her main screen was a detailed report, translated into English. It's from something called the Resistance, Jiwoo explained. A small group of survivors from multiple species that escaped the Concord. Taewoo read quickly. According to the report, the Galactic Concord wasn't an alliance. It was a harvesting operation. Species were selected for their unique biological or technological innovations, studied for 13 galactic cycles, then systematically eliminated once their useful attributes were extracted. They're farming the galaxy, Hiram whispered in horror. Taking what they want and then discarding the rest. But why target humans, Jungsu asked. We're not that advanced. It's not our technology they want, Taewoo said, pointing to a section of the report. It's this. The report explained that humans were unique among known species, while most advanced civilizations evolved to suppress their primitive emotional responses as they developed technology. Humans had maintained the full spectrum of emotions alongside their technological progress. They're terrified of us, Jiwoo realized, reading further. Not our technology or our resources, but something fundamental about human nature itself. Our capacity for both compassion and rage, Taewoo said. Our ability to feel deeply and act on those feelings. That's what they fear, and what they want to study before eliminating us. We have to stop the ceremony, Hiram said urgently. Earth can't join the Concord. But how? Dohyun asked. We need proof that Earth's leaders will believe. Just then Hijin burst into the lab. Captain, the Voracks are demanding that all human personnel return to the planet immediately. The ceremony has been moved up. It starts in 2 hours. They must know we're onto them, Jungsu said grimly. Taewoo made a quick decision. Hear him. You need to get to that ceremony. You're our best chance to stop this. Take the data we've decoded. Do-hyun, go with her. What about you, Captain? Hiram asked. I'll create a distraction, Taewoo said. Something that will buy you time. He turned to Jiwoo. How much more of that data can you decode in the next hour? Maybe half, she said. Why? Because we need to find out if there are any weaknesses we can exploit, Taewoo said. Any way to fight back if things go wrong. As the others prepared to leave, Do-hyun pulled Taewoo aside. What kind of distraction are you planning? Taewoo smiled grimly. They're afraid of human emotions? Let's show them what happens when humans get really angry. Within the hour, Hiram and Do-hyun had departed for Earth on a fast shuttle. Jiwoo continued working on the data, while Jung-soo prepared the Endeavor's weapons systems, just in case. Taewoo sat alone in his quarters, thinking. The fate of humanity might rest on what happened in the next few hours. Could they expose the Voracks plot in time? And even if they did, how would Earth stand against such advanced technology? Then he remembered something from the data Jiwoo had translated. a line that gave him hope. What the Concord fears most is a species that can build starships while still harboring primitive emotional responses. The Voraks and their allies feared human emotions because they didn't understand them. And what beings didn't understand, they couldn't predict or control. Taewoo smiled to himself. Perhaps being primitive wasn't such a bad thing after all. Taewoo paced the bridge of the Endeavor. The shuttle carrying Hiram and Doyun to Earth had departed 20 minutes ago. Now he needed to create a distraction that would give them time to reach the ceremony and reveal the truth about the Voraks. "Captain," Jiwoo called from her station. "I've decoded more of the data packet. You need to see this." Taewoo moved quickly to her side. On her screen was a detailed map of a Vorax ship. Not just any ship, but the Celestial Blade itself. "How did they get this?" Taewoo asked. "The resistance group," Jiwoo explained. "They must have infiltrated the ship at some point." She pointed to a section near the center of the ship. "Look at this area. It's heavily protected, but according to these notes, it contains historical records of all the species the Concord has harvested." "Proof," Taewoo said. "Real proof that we could show to Earth's leaders." "But how do we get to it?" Jung-soo asked, joining them. "That section of the ship has been off limits to us from the start." Taewoo thought for a moment. "We need a reason to go back aboard their ship. Something they can't refuse." "Like what?" Jiwoo asked. Taewoo smiled slowly. "Like returning something important that they left behind." 30 minutes later, Taewoo hailed the Celestial Blade. Zalthir's face appeared on the view screen. "Captain Kim," the alien said. "We were not expecting further communication. The ceremony preparations are underway." "Supreme Envoy," Taewoo said politely. "One of your delegation left an important data device in our conference room during yesterday's meeting. I wish to return it personally, as a gesture of goodwill." Zalthir's skin shifted colors slightly. "That is unexpected. What kind of device?" Taewoo held up a small black object that Jiwoo had modified to look alien. "I'm not familiar with your technology, but it seems important." Zalthir was silent for a moment. "Very well. You may bring it to our ship. I will send coordinates for your shuttle." "Thank you," Taewoo said. "I'll bring my science officer to ensure the device is handled properly." The communication ended. Jung-soo approached Taewoo. "Sir, this is risky," he said quietly. "What if they discover your real purpose? That's why I need you to be ready." Taewoo told him. "If we don't return in 2 hours or if you lose contact with us, take the Endeavor to Earth immediately. Help Hiram stop that ceremony." Jung-soo nodded grimly. "Understood, Captain." 20 minutes later, Taewoo and Jiwoo boarded a small shuttle and headed for the Celestial Blade. They were both armed with small weapons hidden under their uniforms. "Remember the plan," Taewoo said as they approached the alien ship. "We return the device and then ask for a tour of their historical archives as a final cultural exchange before the ceremony." "And if they refuse?" Jiwoo asked. "Then we move to Plan B," Taewoo said. "We create a scene they can't ignore." The Voraks allowed their shuttle to dock in a small bay. 2 alien guards met them and escorted them through the ship to a meeting room where Zalthir waited. "Captain Kim," the alien said, rising from its seat. "Science Officer Park, thank you for returning this device." Taewoo handed over the black object. "It was our pleasure. As a final request before the ceremony, we were hoping to learn more about the history of the Concord. Perhaps you could show us your historical archives." Zalthir's skin darkened slightly. "I'm afraid that won't be possible. Those areas are restricted for security reasons." "I understand," Taewoo said, nodding. "Security is important. Speaking of which, I noticed something interesting during my last visit." "Oh?" Zalthir seemed tense now. "What was that?" "How afraid your people are of human emotions," Taewoo said bluntly. "Especially anger." The room went very still. The 2 guards moved their hands toward their weapons. "That is an unusual observation," Zalthir said carefully. "Is it?" Taewoo asked. He took a step forward. Zalthir stepped back. You see, we received an interesting message yesterday from a ship you destroyed. Zalthir's skin turned a pale blue. That vessel contained dangerous criminals, enemies of the conquered. Or perhaps they were survivors, Jiwoo said. People who escaped when you harvested their species. I don't know what you mean, Zalthir said, but its voice trembled slightly. I think you do, Taewoo said. He took another step forward, raising his voice. We know what the Concord really is. We know what happens after 13 cycles. Guards, Zalthir said sharply. Escort our guests back to their shuttle. The guards moved forward, but Taewoo stood his ground. Are you going to kill us too? He demanded, his voice growing louder. Like you killed the messenger? Like you killed 17 other species after taking what you wanted from them? The guards drew their weapons now. Zalthir's skin was flashing between colors. You will leave. Immediately, Zalthir ordered. Taewoo smiled coldly. Why? Are you afraid of me? Of what I might do? He slammed his hand down on the table, making a loud noise. All three Voraks jumped back. You should be afraid, he continued, his voice a low growl now. Because if you harm Earth or its people, you'll learn something about humans that your reports don't tell you. And what is that? Zalthir asked, its voice barely a whisper. We don't forget, Taewoo said, and we never stop fighting back. The tension in the room was thick. Taewoo could see the fear in the aliens' eyes. They were genuinely terrified of his display of controlled anger. Suddenly, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Zalthir touched a communication device on its wrist. What is happening? It demanded. A voice responded in the Vorax language. Zalthir's eyes widened. Impossible, it said. Secure the archives immediately. Taewoo and Jiwoo exchanged glances. Something was happening. You, Zalthir said, pointing at them. You distracted us. This was your plan all along. What plan? Taewoo asked innocently. There are humans in the restricted archives, Zalthir said. How did they get access? Taewoo was genuinely surprised. He and Jiwoo were supposed to be the distraction. Who else was on the ship? Before he could think about it further, the door to the meeting room slid open. Standing there was Min-jae Kang, the technician who had helped them earlier. Captain, Min-jae called. This way, quickly. The guards turned toward the new threat. In that moment of distraction, Taewoo and Jiwoo pulled out their hidden weapons. Don't move, Taewoo ordered the Vorax. What are you doing here, Min-jae? Jiwoo asked as they backed toward the door. No time to explain, Min-jae said. But I found something you need to see. They followed Min-jae through the corridors of the ship. Alarms were blaring, and they could hear the sounds of Vorax security teams searching for them. How did you get aboard? Taewoo asked as they ran. I never left, Min-jae explained. After the test earlier, I hid in one of the maintenance tunnels. I've been exploring the ship for hours. That was incredibly dangerous, Taewoo said. Min-jae grinned. But worth it. I found the archives, and I downloaded everything. They reached a small control room. Min-jae sealed the door behind them and went to a console. Look at this, he said, bringing up images on the screen. They saw recordings of the Vorax studying other species, testing them, experimenting on them. And finally, a recording of a beautiful blue planet being systematically emptied of all life. This is what they do, Min-jae said grimly. They find a species with traits they want, join with them, study them, for 13 cycles, about 60 Earth years, and then take what they need and eliminate the rest. And they plan to do this to Earth, Jiwoo whispered. But why do they fear human emotions so much? Taewoo wondered. Min-jae tapped more commands into the console. A new image appeared. A Vorax historical record. According to this, the Vorax and the other conquered species evolved differently than humans, Min-jae explained. They developed technology first, then modified their own biology to remove what they saw as primitive traits, strong emotions, aggression, even creativity. They engineered themselves to be logical and peaceful, Jiwoo said. But then they couldn't innovate anymore, Min-jae continued. Their progress slowed, so they started looking for other species to provide what they had lost. And humans still have all those traits they removed from themselves, Taewoo realized. Exactly, Minjae said. We're dangerous to them because we're unpredictable. We can feel anger, love, fear, joy, all the emotions they sacrificed for advancement. A loud bang sounded at the door. The Voraks were trying to break in. We need to get this information to Earth, Taewoo said urgently. Can you transmit it? Minjae nodded. Already done. I sent everything to the Endeavor as soon as I found it. He held up a small device. And I made a copy, just in case. The door began to glow red as the Voraks used some kind of cutting tool. Need to get back to our shuttle, Taewoo said. There's a maintenance tunnel that leads to the docking bay, Minjae said, pointing to a small hatch in the wall. As they prepared to escape, Taewoo looked at the images on the screen one more time. The Voraks feared human emotions because they couldn't understand or predict them. That fear was humanity's greatest weapon, and now they had proof. Proof that could save Earth. The door began to give way. They had to move quickly. Let's go, Taewoo ordered. We have a ceremony to stop. The Grand Hall in Geneva was filled with people. Leaders from every nation on Earth had gathered for the historic ceremony. The stage was set with flags and flowers. On one side stood Earth's representatives, led by the Secretary General of United Earth. On the other side stood the Voraks delegation. Supreme Envoy Zalthir was not among them. He was still aboard the Celestial Blade, dealing with the human intruders. In his place, another Voraks named Zalthir led the group. Diplomat Hyerim Choi stood at the back of the hall with Commander Do-Yoon Lee. They had arrived just minutes before and were desperately trying to reach the Secretary General. They've blocked us at every turn, Do-Yoon said in frustration. No one will let us through to speak to her. The Voraks must have told them to keep us away, Hyerim said. They know what we discovered. On the stage, the Secretary General stepped forward to the podium. Today marks the greatest moment in human history, she began. Today, Earth joins the galactic community. The crowd applauded. Hyerim looked around desperately. Then she saw a familiar face, Minhai Seo, her former assistant, now working for the Secretary General. Minhai, she called, pushing through the crowd. Minhai, I need your help. The young woman turned, surprised. Diplomat Hyerim, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be with the Endeavor delegation. Listen to me, Hyerim said urgently. The ceremony must be stopped. The Voraks are not what they seem. They plan to destroy humanity. Minhee's eyes widened. That's impossible. They've shared so much knowledge with us already. It's a trap, Do-Hyun insisted. They've done this before to 17 other species. We have proof. Hyerim held up a data device containing the information Taewoo had sent from the Endeavor. Please, Minhee. You know me. Would I make this up? Get this to the Secretary General before she signs the agreement. Minhee hesitated, then nodded. Wait, here. She took the device and moved toward the stage. On the podium, the Secretary General was finishing her speech. And so, with great hope for the future, Earth extends its hand in friendship to the Galactic Concord. The Voraks representative, Zalthir, stepped forward. The Concord welcomes humanity's wisdom and unique qualities. Together, we will build a better galaxy. The Secretary General picked up a pen to sign the agreement. Hyerim held her breath. Suddenly, the doors at the back of the hall burst open. Everyone turned to look. Standing there, uniforms dirty and torn, were Captain Taewoo Kim, Science Officer Jiwoo Park, and Technician Minjae Kang. Stop the ceremony, Taewoo shouted. Security officers moved to intercept them, but they pushed forward. At the same moment, Minhee reached the Secretary General and whispered urgently in her ear, handing her the data device. The Secretary General looked confused. She glanced from the device to Taewoo, then to the Voraks delegation. Zalthir's skin had turned a pale blue. What is the meaning of this interruption? The Secretary General demanded. Madam Secretary, Taewoo said, stepping forward as security officers grabbed his arms. The Voraks and the Concord are not what they claim to be. They have destroyed 17 other species after studying them. Earth is next if we sign that agreement. Murmurs ran through the crowd. The Vorax delegation began speaking urgently among themselves in their own language. "These are serious accusations, Captain," the Secretary General said. She held up the data device Minnie had given her. "And I'm told you have evidence?" "Yes, Madam Secretary," Taewoo said. "Stolen directly from the Vorax historical archives. It shows everything, their true purpose, their plans for Earth, and the fate of other species who joined them." "This is absurd," Zelthir said, stepping forward. "The human is clearly disturbed. The evidence is fabricated." "Then you won't mind if we examine it?" the Secretary General asked coolly. Before Zelthir could answer, the large screens around the hall suddenly came to life. On them appeared images from the Vorax archives, the same ones Minjae had discovered. Everyone could now see the recordings of other species being studied and then systematically eliminated. Jungsu had received the transmission from the Endeavor and hacked into the hall's communication system. He had waited for the perfect moment to display the evidence. Gasps of horror filled the room. The Vorax delegation backed away as security officers turned toward them. "The conquered cannot be stopped," Zelthir said, his voice cold. "We have existed for thousands of years. We have harvested dozens of species. You are just one more." "No," Taewoo said, stepping forward as the security officers released him. "We are not just one more. We are human. And that means something. You can't understand." "Primitive emotions and aggression," Zelthir said dismissively. "These are traits we evolved beyond long ago." "And yet you fear them," Jiwoo said. "You fear us because we're unpredictable, because we feel deeply and act on those feelings." The Secretary General stepped down from the podium, the unsigned agreement in her hand. "I think we need to reconsider this alliance, Envoy Zelthir." "You have no choice," Zelthir said. "The Conquered is vastly superior to Earth in every way. You cannot stand against us." "Actually," came a new voice, "they can." Everyone turned to see Hiram walking up to the stage. Behind her came dozens of people of different shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human. Others were clearly alien, with strange features and skin colors. "Who are these people?" the Secretary General asked. "Survivors," Hiram explained. "The resistance group that warned us. They've been hiding on Earth watching the Vorax, waiting for this moment." One of the aliens stepped forward. It was tall and thin with multiple eyes, the same species Jiwoo had identified in the archives. "I'm Calyx of the Zithri," it said in careful English. "My people were nearly destroyed by the Concord 300 of your years ago. A few of us escaped. We have been watching, waiting, gathering others like us." "There are thousands of us now," another alien said, "from 17 different species, all victims of the Conquered." Zelthir's skin turned almost white with fear. "This is impossible. The harvests were complete." "Not quite," Calyx said. "You missed a few, and we remembered. We've been preparing for this day." The Secretary General looked at the unsigned agreement in her hands, then tore it in half. "Earth will not join the Conquered," she announced firmly. Zelthir's eyes narrowed. "Then Earth will be destroyed. Our ships are already in position." "Are they?" Taewoo asked with a small smile. "Check again." Zelthir touched a communication device on his wrist. His eyes widened in shock. "The celestial blade. It's not responding." "That's because the survivors had a plan," Taewoo explained. "While we distracted you here and on your ship, they took control of the celestial blade systems. Your weapons are disabled." "And not just the celestial blade," Calyx added. "We've been infiltrating Conquered ships for decades, waiting for the right moment. That moment is now." For the first time, real fear showed in Zelthir's eyes. You cannot defeat the entire Conquered." "Perhaps not today," the Secretary General said. "But we don't need to. We just need you to listen very carefully to what we have to say." Taewoo stepped forward, looking directly at Zelthir. "We have a saying on Earth, perhaps the most terrifying words in any universe. We will remember." Zelthir and the other Vorax visibly recoiled. You fear our emotions, our capacity for rage, Taewoo continued. But understand this, our anger is matched only by our capacity for forgiveness, if it is earned. What do you want? Zelthir asked, his voice barely a whisper. The Secretary General answered, a new agreement, a real alliance, not the Concord as it was, but something new, something better. And the return of all data collected from previous species, Hiram added, so they can rebuild. In the days that followed, a new treaty was formed. The Vorax and other Concord species, faced with the combined resistance of 17 supposedly extinct races and the unpredictable humans, had little choice but to agree. The Galactic Concord was reorganized. No longer would it hunt and harvest. Instead, it would truly share and learn. The balance of power had shifted. 1 month later, Taewoo stood on the bridge of the Endeavor, looking out at the stars. Earth ships now patrolled alongside vessels crewed by the survivor species. They were teaching each other, working together. Do you think they'll keep their word? Do-hyun asked, coming to stand beside him. They will, Taewoo said confidently, because now they understand something they didn't before. What's that? That the strength they removed from themselves, emotions, passion, even anger, can be a gift as well as a danger. Taewoo smiled. And the most terrifying words in the Yai universe aren't a threat, they're a promise. We will remember, Do-hyun quoted. Exactly, Taewoo said. We remember the bad, but we also remember the good. That's what makes us human. As the Endeavor prepared for its next mission, Taewoo looked at his crew, humans who had faced the unknown with courage and determination, who had felt fear but acted anyway, who had shown anger but also compassion. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was a good thing, because humans remembered. And what they remembered most was not revenge, but hope.